Just this month, though, Variety named her Power of Women honoree. Yes, I like it, for her work with the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy Foundation. And Oprah herself, the O of O, that's what we call it, Oprah Magazine, joins us once again at the table. Hello, powerful woman.
That's nice, isn't it?
I think it is.
Thank you, Variety. Thank you.
I think it's really nice. But earlier today, Oprah, before you came, we were talking about Jennifer Lawrence, who was speaking out about the pay disparity. And I said that I thought it was brave of her to speak out. And you said, why do you think it's brave?
Well, I think
you were asking me.
Of
why
course,
do I think
it is
it's
brave, but I also think it's a moment in time. You know, like. Those of us in the news business, you know, you can talk and talk and talk about a thing, and then finally it hits the zeitgeist. I'm old enough to have been here, you know, before Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Yeah.
Remember? And
Yeah.
then when finally it hits a
You never thought it would change, and all of a sudden it did.
And then all of a sudden it did.
Yeah.
And the same thing is going to happen with texting. And now the same thing is happening with diversity in Hollywood. The conversation has actually gotten started, and the conversation about parity for women has gotten started, and the fact that she's joined that conversation.
Do you think it's actually changing?
I don't think it's changing. I think the conversation has hit a critical moment. But you know, it's so interesting. When I read Jennifer's piece yesterday, I was thinking about. I said, wow, this sounds like 1985.
Yeah.
Because when I first started the Oprah show, true story, Gail, you
This
know
is a great story, yes.
How do you know what I'm going to tell? Okay.
You're going to tell. You're going to talk about the producers were not getting a raise.
I started just before we. Okay, so just
the producers were not getting a raise.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we're syndicating. We syndicated. I have these all women producers.
It was like 5 of them.
It was 5 women and one gay guy, Rizzo, who we lost.
Yeah.
But I went in and I said, everybody needs raises. And the management at the time said, why do they need raises? Why do a bunch of girls need raises?
They're not married.
They're not married.
They
don't have children. They don't own their own houses. Why?
Yes.
This is in 1985 in Chicago.
Yes.
And so
then years later.
What story
Years
is this?
later, when you threatened to go on strike.
Oh, yeah.
To go on strike.
That wasn't years later. It was months later, because I said, if you don't give them money, then I'm going to sit down.
Yeah.
And then
and you said, I'm going to tell people why I'm sitting down.
Okay.
Okay.
It's crazy.
You don't actually need to be here. Gail will just tell the story.
You don't need to be here.
She leaves out the details.
Okay, and then, so the first year, they wouldn't give them any more money. And so what did I do? I put $10,000 in a roll of toilet paper.
$10,000 in cash.
In cash, just to say, okay, guys, I want you to know that you thought of. But, I mean, for somebody to say to you, I remember going into my boss in 1980 in Baltimore, saying that Richard Scher, who was co-hosting, Morning Richard, co-hosting People Are Talking, was making far more money than I did, and we did the same job. And my boss said at the time, but do you have children?
Yes, and he's married with kids.
But Oprah, it's 35 years later, and that conversation is still happening, and people are, male bosses are saying, yes, that's right, the male should make more than you.
I know.
Well, see, Oprah, that brings up the question, you should be president. There's not a day goes by when I'm not in the public where people say to me, Oprah should run. And this is what I say to them. Wait, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. I say, I never say never, but I would bet my life, my firstborn's life, my secondborn's life, who I love very much, that would never happen.
You were correct about that.
And people always ask.
Not in this lifetime. But what I can control is my own business and my own work. So, you know, I work in a business, the Oprah Show, all those years, and now OWN. We're predominantly female. And obviously there's there's fair pay going on there. And I've done it on my own. And because I've owned the show and owned myself all of these years, I've never been in that position. Except if I were to tell you what I got paid for doing movies, you would laugh. You would laugh me out of the room.
I'll tell. You tell.
Do not.
You talk about diversity coming into films. Linda Opes, the producer who was in the piece we had earlier, talked about how women are more likely to close sooner because they feel they have less options.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And also what Jennifer was saying, that you have less options and you don't want to upset anybody. You don't want to make anybody upset with you.
Right.
So you're likely to close to make everything okay, so that when the deal is done, everybody will still like you.
You don't want to be demanding. But this is the thing. Over the 35 years of your thing, it's interesting because it's now in the news. I know you have no interest in politics. I get that. But Donald Trump was on your show years ago. Chris, do we have the clip? Because I think it's hilarious. It's been playing everywhere. Could we roll the clip? This is what Donald Trump said to you years ago.
Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. and yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not, but I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
No, it doesn't. But, you know, I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally, because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country.
Isn't that timing interesting? What
Yeah.
he said back then, how it's
So
relevant to
similar to
today.
what he's saying today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so too.
Well, when you, yeah.
no, I mean,
When I asked that question, I didn't expect that answer.
No, I know.
remember thinking I didn't.
And
think
what
you would
year
say-
was that clip from?
Let's see. What according to the hair, that would be
88.
80,
Oh,
88. I would say. I was
Wow.
going to say 87, 88.
88. That's what,
of
yeah, Chris is saying.
you still
88.
look good. 88.
Let's talk about the new series that you've put together. Believe we're going to talk more about it. But why did you want to put this together? This is, you say, your life's work.
Well, I had seen Planet Earth on Discovery years ago, and I just was knocked out by our planet. I fell in love with the Earth. I really did. I love those polar bears coming up out after being hibernating. Remember, Anthony, you remember the polar bears?
And I
the
remember
polar
you
bears.
saying, God, I wish I would have voiced that, but we have to take a break.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create a planet spirit. That's what this is. This is my idea of taking the message of what happens to people's hearts around the world and connecting us.
Guess
That's
what?
a
We're going to give you
perfect
more
tease.
time to talk about it.
Yes, that's a
Where we're not up
perfect
against
tease.
a hard wall. You know that's
You
like.
see what she does?
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
She understands.
Yes,
She
got it.
understands.
Do you want
She'll
to
be
read
back to translate it for you in the next segment.
I know. I get very
Oprah
excited
will be
when
back to
Oprah
talk
comes.
more about that.